On Monday, President Donald Trump made the news that the United States of America will be permanently withdrawing from its membership in the World Health Organization, WHO. This decision will take effect immediately. Immediate action will be taken in response to this decision. This selection was met with some criticism from individuals who specialize in public health expertise, particularly when taking into consideration the fact that it was his first day back in the White House in the first place. This alternative was received with a certain amount of dissatisfaction as a consequence. Over the course of a considerable amount of time, President Trump has been confronted with challenges with the health organization that is associated with the United Nations. The process of withdrawing from the World Health Organization, WHO, was initiated by his administration in July of 2020, despite the fact that the COVID-19 outbreak was still on the increase. This was carried out in spite of the fact that the disease was on the verge of spreading further. 3 years ago, when Joe Biden was just beginning to settle into his job as president, he made the decision to prevent the United States from withdrawing from the organization that is responsible for coordinating the response to national and international health emergencies. This decision was made in order to prevent the United States from leaving the organization, with the intention of preventing the United States of America from withdrawing from the organization. This decision was made. With this judgment, the United States of America was prevented from leaving the organization, which is one of the most important reasons for the significance of this decision. After taking office for the first time, he was able to make this decision, which was one of the first judgments that he was able to make. The executive order that was issued on Monday cites the following as the reasons for the United States' decision to withdraw from the World Health Organization: the organization's mishandling of the COVID-19 pandemic that started in Wuhan, China, along with other global health crises, its failure to implement necessary reforms quickly, and its struggle to show independence from the undue political influence of WHO member states. The President of the United States made a gesture toward his choice regarding the year 2020 when he was in the process of signing the executive order. He also voiced his view that the United States was paying an excessive amount of financial support to the organization in compared to other nations. Additionally, he made this statement when he was in the process of signing the executive order when it was issued. In addition to this, he made this statement when he was in the process of signing the executive order at the time that it was released. Trump told a member of his staff, "Wow, that's a big one," in regard to him. He said this in reference to him. In the year 2020, President Trump continued to point the finger of blame at the group, claiming that it was helping China conceal the origins of the COVID-19 virus and allowing it to spread over the world. He also stated that the organization was assisting China in spreading the virus. To add insult to injury, he stated that the organization was facilitating the spread of the virus all across the world. At the time when President Trump first announced his intention to withdraw from the World Health Organization, WHO, in the year 2020, members of Parliament (MPs) from both parties were quite vocal about their disapproval of the organization. The World Health Organization was met with their disdain. On the other hand, a sizable proportion of them expressed their dissatisfaction with the choice that the president would make regarding his departure during a pandemic that occurs once per century. During the epidemic, this choice was made to leave immediately. It was an act of true senselessness, according to Nancy Pelosi, who was functioning as Speaker of the House at the time that she made her statement. Pelosi made her comment. Specifically, Pelosi was referring to the occurrence in question. Consequently, former Republican Senator Lamar Alexander, who at the time was serving as the leader of the Senate Health, Education, Labor and Pensions Committee, issued a statement expressing his displeasure with the decision that Trump had made. Alexander was concerned about the potential consequences of Trump's decision. When this occurred, Alexander was serving as the committee's leader. The decision to withdraw from the World Health Organization (WHO) was made by President Trump during his second term in office as president. As someone who had previously served as the White House COVID-19 response coordinator under the administration of Vice President Joe Biden, Dr. Ashish Jha has voiced his dissatisfaction of this recent action. According to Jha, this choice is a strategic error. He says this in his language. During a conversation that took place on Monday with CNN, Jha expressed his viewpoint that the World Health Organization (WHO) is an organization that is regarded as being of a significant amount of importance. Additionally, he claimed that the United States of America made the decision to withdraw from the issue which has led to the development of a political void that can only be filled by one nation, and that nation ought to be China. He stated that this void can only be filled by China, in light of the fact that the United States is no longer supplying the organization with financial support or leadership. He is of the opinion that China is likely to take over the role of leader. This is due to the fact that China is currently gaining more and more influence in the global arena. As a consequence of this, it is most likely that China will eventually have a bigger number of representatives in the political arena of the international community. There is a chance that this will occur. An individual named Lawrence Gostin, who is a professor of public health law at Georgetown University, stated that the choice that President Trump made to withdraw from the World Health Organization (WHO) is the most momentous of all of the executive moves that he decided to take. This statement was made in response to a comment that was made by Gostin. This statement was made by Gostin on Monday's episode of X. It was in connection to the option that President Trump chose to withdraw from the World Health Organization (WHO) that Gostin made this statement. It was brought to his attention that the withdrawal has a substantial harmful impact on the health of people all over the world, but that it is particularly destructive to the health of persons in the United States of America. There is a crucial decision that needs to be taken by the president, and it is incumbent upon him or her to make it. If Jia were to quit from the World Health Organization (WHO), it would be tremendously destructive to the organization. Jia is concerned about this. The reason for this is because the World Health Organization (WHO) is extremely dependent on the knowledge and manpower of the United States, particularly when it comes to monitoring the influenza epidemic that is occurring all over the world. In the event that they were to withdraw, Jia is of the opinion that the organization would suffer in a manner that would be exceedingly destructive to the organization. As part of his executive order, President Trump has requested that the Secretary of State and the Director of the Office of Management and Budget put a stop to any future transfers of cash, aid, or resources from the United States government to the World Health Organization (WHO). This request was made available to the Secretary of State and the Director of the Office of Management and Budget. In response to this request, the Secretary of State and the Director of the Office of Management and Budget were both given access to the information. In light of the fact that it is highly probable that the World Health Organization (WHO) would be qualified to receive a transfer of this kind, this request was submitted. Because of this, it takes the organization one entire year to completely withdraw its support, and the United States is obligated to continue providing funding for it during the entirety of that year and beyond through the end of the year. Given the circumstances, to what extent do you believe that Donald Trump will be influenced by the standards that are generally recognized all throughout the world in relation to these issues? But who is actually going to make sure that obligation is enforced? For some reason, the notion attracted Jia's mind, and he was interested in it. This action is riddled with legal and factual errors, according to Gostin, who is presently the holder of the O'Neill Chair in Global Health Law at Georgetown Law. Gostin is a member of the Georgetown Law faculty. Commenting on the action is what Gostin is doing. This accusation was made by Gostin in a post or tweet that was published after the initial one. The President of the United States will not wait a year to respond to the issue, contrary to what Congress had believed would ultimately take place. This is not going to work out, and there is no chance that it will. Currently, he is undertaking an investigation into the involvement of the United States of America in the issue, as well as the funding that they have provided for it. His explanation proceeded by saying, "That is not only against the law, but it is also a significant error in strategy," and he continued to provide elaboration. Here we have our video. What do you think about this? Make sure to drop a comment before you leave. Thanks for watching and see you later.